Hello, my name is Amy White, and for this week's video discussion thread, I'm going to discuss an aspect of the postbellum America with the experience of Mina Westbye, a single female homesteader in the northern Great Plains region. Mina Westbye stands as a unique but essential example of single women homesteaders on the Great Plains at the turn of the 20th century. Mina Westbye was born in 1879 in Trysil, Norway, a mountainous and forested region near the Swedish border, growing up with 7 siblings. When Mina was 21 years old, she immigrated to the United States, moving in with her mother's sister, her husband, Reverend Eric Jensen, and their 5 children in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Mina seemed to establish a strong bond with her 2 female cousins, Marie and Olive. After just 3 years in the United States, Mina, Olive, and Marie decided to become homesteaders. Seeing the decision was made rather quickly, as in late August 1903, Mina filed her first naturalization papers, which was a necessary step before an immigrant could claim land under the Homestead Act. Together with her cousins, Mina made the journey from Minneapolis by train to Minot, North Dakota, and on August the 27th, 1903, all 3 women claimed land in Blooming Valley Township in present-day Divide County, North Dakota. The Homestead Act of 1862 permitted Americans and immigrants with the intent of becoming citizens the right to claim land in the public domain. With just $10 each, the single female cousins claimed 160 acres each. The regulations of the Homestead Act required claimants to live on the land for a set amount of time, make improvements to the land, and finally seek proof of their claims by the General Land Office, or the GLO, whereby an inspector would inspect the claim, and with the payment of fees, a title would be provided to the homesteader to the property. This dream of procuring nearly free land and the promise of railroad accessibility brought thousands of people to the Northern Plains during this period. Like Mina and her cousins, some of these homesteaders were single or widowed women. In fact, North Dakota had a relatively high rate of women homesteaders in the early 1900s, making up between 5 to 18% of all homestead claimants in the region. The typical homesteader pursued this opportunity of claiming the land for one of 2 reasons, either to obtain cheap land and make a go at farming, or to procure land as an economic and financial investment. Mina was of the latter group. She made it no secret that she hoped to make this a financial investment, and she hoped that by securing the land, she wouldn't have this independent investment that would provide a future for herself. Once filing was complete, the cousins traveled to the land and began the process of meeting the legal requirements to acquire the title. Olive and Marie had claimed adjoining parcels of land, while Mina's was a bit further away, but still close enough to afford frequent visits. To ready the land and make improvements, building a shelter took precedence above all else. Mina had a typical Plains tar shack built on her property, to which she affectionately called her villa and described it as practical and cozy. Mina then resided on the land from August of 1903 to early December, when she returned to Minneapolis to secure wages to further her investments on the land in North Dakota. Mina worked in Minneapolis as a domestic and seamstress, then returned to North Dakota in mid-March of 1904. By the fall of 1904, Mina had met the then 6-month residency requirements and began filling out the paperwork for final proof, seeking the title to the land. As a homesteader, Mina Westbye had transformed the prairie into an agricultural cropland and established residency. Mina's land had been transformed from a rolling expanse of prairie with no shade trees to a farm with 10 acres of wheat and flax, a garden, and by 1905, a well. Mina undoubtedly hired people to work the land for her, and this was utilizing her wages she earned in Minneapolis. During her time on the plains, Mina utilized her time by reading avidly, walking everywhere, and visiting the cousins while also keeping a garden. Obtaining proof of the land by the GLO for a single woman was not quickly done, as demonstrated by Mina's elongated experience. It seems that due to Mina's long absences from the claim, the GLO was hindered in expediting her claim processing. She waited more than a year and heard nothing back from the GLO. And in the end, Mina used gendered arguments, including her lack of marital status, to explain why she was away from the land for such periods. And eventually, more than a year later, the GLO inspector stated that Mina was in fact acting in good faith, and she did secure her title to her land in 1906. Upon receiving her title, Mina attempted to sell her land while studying photography in Minneapolis. However, after falling out with her beau, she then sold her land in 1908 and decided to move back to Norway. Upon her return to Norway, Mina studied photography in Oslo and eventually opened a photography studio, all done through the capital she had acquired through her land sale. Eventually, she rekindled the relationship with her beau, Mr. Gunderson, and Mina returned to the United States where they were eventually married. They built a home in the Catskill Mountains and raised a family. Through it all, Mina Westby's experiences stand out as an important example of single women homesteaders in the beginning of the 20th century and the greater extent of Norwegian immigrants' experiences in the Northern Plains. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a great day.